Alright, so let's take a look at complementary and supplementary angles. Okay, so looking first at complementary angles, the definition of complementary angles are two or more angles angles whose sum is equal to 90. Okay, so looking at the diagram, complementary angles can be two angles that are put together on one big angle, and in this case here we have a right angle, 90 degrees, and it's split into a 30-degree angle and a 60-degree angle. And of course we know if we add 30 plus 60, that gives us 90. So these two here are complementary angles. Okay, you may also see though complementary angles being two angles that are actually separate. So in this case I have a 30-degree angle separate from a 60-degree angle. But again, when I add the two together, okay, they are complementary. They add to 90 degrees. So looking at some examples here, we want to find the complement for each angle. Okay, so for A, if my angle is 35, the complement would be 90 minus 35, which gives me 55 degrees. Okay, and I can do the same process for B and C. So the complement of 48 would be 42, because I do 90 minus 48, and that would give me 42. And the complement of 12 would be 78. 90 minus 12 would be 78 degrees. Okay, so complementary angles are 90 degrees. Okay, so hopefully that leads into the understanding supplementary angles, which in this case would be two or more angles whose sum is equal to 180 degrees. Okay. Looking at the diagrams once again, supplementary angles can be two angles that are put together, and in this case they are on one line, okay, because we know that a line is 180 degrees. So I've taken this line here and I've split it into two angles, 120 and 60, and if I add 120 plus 60, that does give me 180. Okay, but supplementary angles can also be split into separate angles, okay, and as long as they add together to equal to 180, they are supplementary. Okay, so looking at the examples here, the supplement for 40 degrees, I would do 180 minus 40, which gives me 140. So the supplement to 40 is 140. The supplement to 126 would be 54. Again, I do 180 minus 126, and that would give me 54 degrees. And the supplement to 72 is 108. Once again, 180 minus 72 would equal to 108. Okay, so thinking of a way to remember the difference between complementary and supplementary angles, the way that I recommend it is that complementary, C, comes before S, supplementary. Okay, so C before S, 90 before 120. Okay, so alphabetical and numerical order, they match up, respectively. Okay, so looking now on the back, they want us to classify the angle pairs and determine the sum of the angles. Okay, so the first example here, these two angles are on a straight line here on either side. So since it's a straight line, this would be supplementary. And they would add to 180 degrees. Looking at the second example here, right, these form a right angle. And I see on one side here I have a right angle, which would make the other side as well 90 degrees, a right angle. So these are complementary. and they would add to 90 degrees. Okay, for the next one here, this is a straight line, so these are supplementary, and that would be 180 degrees. And the last example in this section is a right angle here, and so that would be complementary, which would be 90 degrees. Okay, looking at the next little set, we want to classify the angle pairs, determine the sum of the angles, and then find the value of the missing angle. Okay, so looking at the first one here, this is a straight line, which makes these supplementary. To find my missing angle, I'd do 180 minus 139, which gives me 41 degrees for the missing angle. The next example here is a right angle, which makes these complementary. So 90 minus 45 gives me 45. So these angles are actually the exact same on both. They're congruent angles. Okay, so throwing in some old vocabulary from earlier this year, when they're equal or the same, okay, that also could be described as congruent. Okay, the next one, all right, this makes a right angle, so these are complementary. 90 minus 37 would give me 53. And the last example in this section is a straight line, which makes these supplementary. And so I would do 180 minus 36, which would give me 144. Okay, so let's throw some algebra in the mix. Okay, classify the angle pairs, determine the sum of the angles, and find the value of x. Okay, so looking at this example here, the first one, this makes a right angle, and I know that right angles are complementary, and they're going to add to 90 degrees. So I'm going to add the two together, 2x plus 24, and I'm going to set it equal to 90, since they're complementary. To solve for x, I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. 2x is equal to 90 minus 24 gives me 66. I divide both sides by 2. And x is equal to 33. Okay, for the next example here, this is a straight line. Okay, so my two angles here would be supplementary. That's going to be 180 degrees. So once again, I add the two together. 5x plus 4 plus 86. And it's going to be equal to 180 since they're supplementary. I combine like terms. 5x plus positive 4 plus 86 gives me 90 is equal to 180. I subtract 90 from both sides here, and I get 5x is equal to 180 minus 90 is 90. Okay, so then I divide by 5, and x is equal to 18. Okay, for the next example here, again, these are on a straight line. So these would be supplementary angles, which means they add to 180. Okay, so I'm going to combine the two. 5x plus 2 plus 2x plus 10, and I'm going to set that equal to 180. Combine my like terms. 5x plus 2x gives me 7x. A positive 2 plus 10 gives me plus 12. And that is equal to 180. Right, so I subtract 12 from both sides. 7x is then equal to 168. Divide by 7, and I get x is equal to 24. The last example, the right angle. Okay, so these are complementary. They add to 90. So I set this up, x plus 7 plus 4x plus 3, and I'm going to set it equal to 90. I combine my like terms here. X plus 4x is 5x. Positive 7 plus 3 is plus 10, and that is equal to 90. I subtract 10 5x is equal to 90 minus 10 is 80. Divide both sides by 5, and x is then equal to 16. Okay, so complementary angles 90 degrees, supplementary angles 180.